Hello and thanks for joining me for our weekly video update. In today's video, I wanted to cover things that somebody should consider if looking to either purchase property for personal use or for investment purposes, because we get this question in different formats. Really, people are wanting to know, how much is it going to cost me? What am I getting myself into? And what is it really going to cost in the end, besides just what the listing price is? So I'm just going to cover really quickly also the local market here in the Austin area, and that includes Austin and surrounding areas such as Pflugerville, Round Rock, Georgetown. I'll show you what the market stats are, what's going on, and the changes over the last 7 days. And I'll also like to share with other people, whether you're in the state of Texas or not, things that might be relevant to you to know, what am I really getting myself into? Should I make an offer on this particular property or not, or in this particular area or not? So we'll cover things like the principal, the interest, the property taxes, as well as you shopping around for insurance. So I will say that this video would apply mostly to people that are in the Austin area or in Texas, because I'm going to share resources that apply to Texas, but you should also talk to your real estate agents or your fellow investors in other states to find out what resources they're using that are equivalent to what I'm about to talk about in your state. So then you'll be able to do your own research and do all your due diligence up front before you get to the point of really falling in love with a particular location, and then realizing that you don't like the property taxes or even the homeowners associations around that area. So let's dive into it, and then I'll be right back to wrap everything up. The first thing that I thought I'll share with you is what's been going on in the local market where I am, which is the Austin area. I'm in Austin, but I've put together the stats that would also show the surrounding areas, such as Pflugerville, Round Rock, Georgetown, places like that. And this tool is provided by our local multiple listing service, the local MLS. And so I wanted to share with you what I'm seeing. And this shows changes over the last 7 days. And as you can see here, we have new active listings, about 672 of them. That's the green bar at the top. But you can see that the longest bar that we're looking at is actually showing us price decreases. And we have over 1,000 properties that have dropped their price that they're asking for, for the property. They've dropped that in the last 7 days, over 1,000. And then you have price increase in some areas because, of course, real estate is very local, and it's very area specific. So you still have some areas that are very high demand areas, no matter what's happening in the general real estate market. But I would say, looking at this, we're definitely in more of a buyer's market for the average property or for most properties. And you can see that some people actually brought their properties back on the market. That's the yellow tiny little bar that you can see. About 128 people put back their property on the market, probably because they were hoping that buyers would have been coming back to the market by now. What we are seeing is that the market is sort of stuck. Buyers are not really in a hurry to buy. It could be because of the mortgage interest rates. They might still be a little high for most people. That's what I'm thinking, and some other factors going on. People just feel uncertain in general because of the inflation and everything else going on in the country here in the US, and probably all around the world too. So we have some that are active under contract, and we have some that are pending, 314 active under contract, and we have 275 that are pending, meaning that they're hoping that they can complete the transaction. And when you combine those two, it doesn't look too bad. It's about 589 properties that are potentially going to go to closing and complete the sale transaction. So just looking down a little bit further, you have closed, the ones that closed in the last 7 days, 380, not bad. And then some were withdrawn. Withdrawn means that the owners changed their mind. They probably had it on the market for a while, and they figured, oh, nobody's giving me what I really want for this property, so I'm going to withdraw my listing. And that's what happens sometimes. And then some just expired naturally, meaning that the owner had an agreement with the agent, the real estate agent, to list the property for sale for a certain number of months. And when those months expired, or the number of months expired, they didn't relist it or renew the listing. So it expired. And so now we have some that are on hold, which is the very bottom. And about 87 of them, people are just waiting, maybe because they're in the middle of a vacation. So they needed to put the property on hold till they come back to be able to show it to people. So sometimes the hold is because something major happens, medical issues, anything like that. So I just wanted to share this with you and let you know that that red bar is the place to look at, because the prices are coming down. So what else do we have to consider when we're looking into purchasing property or even an investment property? I think we also have to figure out generally, how much is it going to cost me? So that brings us to the next section of this video, which is going to look at what we need to consider in terms of the principal, meaning how much total am I going to purchase this property for, if you're taking a loan especially. So we need to know what principal it is. Are you putting any down payment down? Because if you're not putting any down payment down, then the total sale price is going to be your principal. So if you are putting down payment down, then your principal will be a little bit lower, and then you still have interest to consider. So let's go into the next resource that I think would be very helpful. So actually, let me actually go back and talk about the mortgage rates, since we're already talking about generally if it's a good time to make an offer, or in that particular area, do I want to make an offer to this for this particular property based on potentially what it might cost me. You need to know the mortgage interest rate as well. So the mortgage interest rates, I typically go to Mortgage News Daily because I was advised by very smart people that this is a good resource. So I'm sharing that with you again. You can always go on there and check out what's happening. This takes a survey of all the transactions that closed recently, and they update it daily. So you can see here that on 30-year fixed, the average interest rate is 6.14%, which is a lot better than what we were looking at the beginning of this year, which was closer to 8%. So now when you go down to the FHA loans and the VA loans, those can even be lower. And this is the fixed rate. It doesn't include the origination cost or the cost, some other fees that are charged to a loan. So fixed interest rate is not always necessarily the final APR, which is your annual percentage rate, because there might be some additional loan costs and fees that are added on top. So even if it's a 6.14% interest rate, your actual APR might be closer to 6.3%. So just make sure you understand these things, and then that would help to inform your decision whether this is going to be the right property at the right price at the right time for you. So things that might be causing the rate to be a little bit higher will be the origination costs of the loan, and sometimes the private mortgage insurance if it's a conventional loan. If it's an FHA loan, you might have what they call the MIP, which is a mortgage insurance premium. It's kind of similar to PMI for the conventional loans, which is the private mortgage insurance. All right, so this site is very good for you to go back to every now and then, see where you might fall, because these are averages. If your debt to income ratio is a certain way, or your credit score is a certain type, you might be able to get better deals in terms of the mortgage interest rates. All right, so that's what I wanted to share really quickly. So let's jump to the mortgage amortization calculator. So here is one that I think is pretty straightforward and easy to use. It's from mortgagecalculator.org. You can go on their website, and I just blew up the page so that we can see it. So this here is actually pretty self-explanatory. You throw in there the amount that you think the purchase price would be. You put in here your down payment that you would like to put down ideally, and then you put in here how much would it be that you'll be borrowing. So let's say it's a $400,000 property. You would want to put down whatever you're comfortable putting down, or whatever you must put down. So I put in this example, let's say I put down $40,000 for my down payment. You could also do it in terms of percentages if you like. And then I'll be borrowing $360,000 in this example. And then I'll have to go here and tell them what kind of term I would like. So the 30 years is usually what most people would pick. And then the interest rate, as we just saw, let's say I'm able to get 6% interest rate. And then what is the payment frequency? And it's going to be monthly, of course, for the most part. So I'm going to go here now and do calculate. And when I do that, I'll have to scroll down to see what the result will be. So here we go. When I scroll down, it's telling me that when I borrow $360,000 at interest rate of 6% for 30 years, my monthly payments would be $2,158. And that is just your principal and interest, by the way. So what I'm trying to take us through in this video is PITI, which is your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, so that we don't forget those. And I'm also going to briefly touch on the HOAs, because that sometimes is a sizable amount of money, and that needs to be factored into your affordability calculation that you do for yourself. So I thought this would be a nice resource. So you go there and play around with it, and then it will show you also the total that you're borrowing. It also would show you the amortization schedule itself. I'll show you how the interest works over time and how it reduces your balance or not. So in year one, it doesn't really reduce your balance much. You could also go to bankrate.com, mortgage calculator. They have a good resource, in my opinion, because you can add in the property taxes and homeowners insurance to give you a better idea what your monthly payments would look like. Now, we're still, of course, missing the homeowners association piece, so you'll add that on top. And this is just to show you that you should do your research in different ways to help you get a better idea where you might really fall in terms of the monthly cost of owning that particular property. So bankrate.com is good. And the other one that I personally like is calculator.net. The reason I like this is that it shows you not only the amortization of the loan, meaning that the schedule of payments and things like that, but it actually tells you how much it's costing you to borrow that much. So right now, what I did was just enter the same loan amount, 360 to 30 years for 6% interest rate. And it's telling me that it will cost me just in interest alone $425,000. So I'm paying more in interest than the actual loan amount if I would have a 6% interest rate and carry it for the whole term without paying it off quicker in any way or refinancing it to a lower interest rate. So hopefully we can all maybe refinance at some point if we have a little bit of a high interest rate, because it does cost a lot to borrow money. So I just wanted to share this with you so that you can get a better overview. Once you see the amount that it costs you to borrow the money, sometimes you don't borrow it. And then the other thing is, on this site, see, it doesn't tell you about your taxes, insurance, and things like that. So it just shows you a basic monthly payment, which is just plus the principal and the interest, which is huge already. But you need to know more, right? You need to know what are my taxes and what is my monthly insurance payment to cover this property, which is the collateral for the bank. They want it to be insured. And then you also want it to be insured, of course, in case things happen. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you is in what will really be the property taxes. Nobody can really tell you until the property is in your name and you file for any potential exemptions that you might qualify for. However, what people can tell you is what the rate is in that county, generally speaking. So let's say you are supposed to be paying in property taxes and you have certain exemptions. Depending on the exemptions that you have, your property taxes might drop by 10 to 20%. So if you're supposed to be paying $5,000, you might end up paying only $4,000 a year for your property taxes if you have some exemptions. So it does help to make sure that you do file for those exemptions if you qualify, find out what you do qualify for, And the best place to go to do that is the particular county. You can go to the tax office and talk to them there if you want to hear it from the source. So I think it's good to do your due diligence because you'll feel more confident once you're making your decision to make an offer. The other place that you could potentially go to find out about the property taxes, I'm going to show you now. One place that I found to go to take a quick look at the counties in Texas is called smartasset.com. They have a nice chart on their website, which seems to be updated properly, and it seems to be consistent with the actual tax rates in the different counties in Texas. So you just go on that site and you'll look on their page, just look around, you can find the information there. So here is one that I found, and it shows us the different tax rates by county. So if you're in Anderson County in Texas, your tax rate will be closer to 1.37%, and they give you an example that if the median home price is $100,000, well, then the property taxes, the median will be $1,500 based on that interest rate. And then if you go to the very bottom, or let's say close to the bottom here, which is closer to where I am, Williamson County, Texas, their tax rate over there is 2.3%. It's very close to Austin, which Austin is in Travis County. So if you are in an area like Williamson County, you're going to pay more in taxes no matter what your property type or size is, based on your exemptions as well. So depending on your exemptions, you might actually be okay, but just make sure you know that before you go in. Don't base it on the property taxes that the current owners are paying, because they might have certain exemptions that are allowing their property taxes to look lower than normal. And then when we are comparing Williamson County to Travis County in Texas, Travis County's, according to this chart, the median home price is $347, and the property tax will be $6,700 without exemptions. This is all without exemptions because the tax rate will be 1.95%. So I think these numbers seem to be accurate, but double check with your tax office and they'll be able to tell you. But it's nice to be able to have a place to go to do your own basic research before you start making offers on things. So that's what I thought I'll share that with. That's why I thought I'll share that with you. So last but not least, I wanted to share this particular resource with you because Texas passed a law in 2021 that requires TREC, which is the Texas Real Estate Commission here, to maintain a central database where the homeowners associations must upload their management certificates in there. The management certificate essentially gives us basic information about the governance of the HOA, as well as what do they charge for somebody to transfer title of that common association account to a buyer. So at least it gives you an idea what kind of cost you're looking at and some information like that. So that tells you in general what you might need to know to be able to figure out what is it going to cost me to purchase this property. So let's put one up just for an example. Let's see if I can expand this screen. I mean, if I can zoom in. Nice to go on there just to take a look and see what you can find. It's part of doing your due diligence before you even commit yourself to a certain location, in my opinion. So let's put in a random one. Let's see. This one says condo. We just want Austin Colony. Let's try that. So we'll pull one up here. And you can take a look at as many documents as you like. They have different phases, but I'm just going to go ahead and pick up this one here. We'll open it. It says management certificate. So I'll open it and then we'll take a look at it together. All right. So you'll see that they tell you who the developer is. They'll give you some documents and where to find them. So you'll be able to look in here really quickly to know where can I find their CCRs, which are those covenants, conditions, and restrictions that relate to that area. So that would allow you to be able to do more research because they tell you the exact instrument number or the volume and the page where they filed it in the property records. So all you have to do is then take this document to the county clerk in that county and ask them to pull all these documents for you if you don't have access to do it. So you certain information like that, which I think is brilliant, that the legislators are forcing them to put everything into a central place so that you're not just trying to find information and going into this, black hole of different portals and databases, So here, it tells you who is managing them at the moment. And then it also tells you the fee if you're going to transfer your property to a buyer or maybe to a family member. And that is the amount there, $200. And then they have a resale disclosure form that they also charge for. So some of them are cheaper than others. You have to know that because you can put this in your offer when you're making an offer to the sellers. As a buyer, I'm talking about the buyers now, you can research this and then put that in your offer saying that you are not going to pay any of the transfer fees or that you only pay $100 or something. And then maybe the seller can pay the difference. So if you're going to rush it, they charge a rush fee as well. So you can take a look, and they also have so many other fees here depending on what you are asking them for. And most times, you can get these things for free from the seller because the seller can log in and get those documents. So I just thought I'd share this with you. It might help you out in figuring out who to contact for what when you're trying to make a decision. And then last but not least, shop around for homeowners insurance policies. And you can do that generically by just contacting the homeowners insurance agents and asking them questions. They don't necessarily need you to have a contract already to be able to give you a quote. They don't necessarily need to send anybody out to be able to give you a quote. They just need to know generally what style of home it is, what kind of roof it has, and the square footage, the total square footage. And they can easily tell you, generally speaking, it's not going to be a specific quote, but at least it gives you an idea whether it's going to be costing you, $1,000 a year or $2,000 a year. Those are important things to know because you have to factor that in to your monthly payments, the monthly cost of carrying this property. This is my video for today. I thought that this is something that might be helpful for some people. And if you want us to do more of these types of videos, just drop a comment below and I'll try my best to continue to do them. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that this has been useful to you. And if you have any specific questions for us, remember to leave us a question on the website. The link is below. We cannot answer questions on YouTube just because of all the restrictions that attorneys have to abide by. So I appreciate you watching as always. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you next time.